November 9th, 2009, I stood in an upstairs bedroom of my house, watching my 4 little girls as they slept, hardly daring to breathe. They had wanted to sleep together in the same room on that solemn, frozen November night. And as I watched them sleeping, there was so much that I wanted to tell them. There was so much that I needed them to understand. There was so much that I needed to atone for. But I didn't have time for regret because it was time for me to go. And so I kissed my girls one by one as they slept. And I stole away into the darkness of a night that was so still, so black, it seemed that the stars themselves were hiding their faces. And I boarded a plane as the sun rose over a motherless world for my children. Now, as that plane began to gather altitude, I felt like I was crossing this great divide, the divide between the life that I should have had, the life that I could have had, and my life. And as I sat on that plane, images were playing in my mind, and they were like flickering like an old-fashioned movie on a reel. They were pieced together and grainy. And I saw a little girl, and she was me. And she was pedaling her bike for all she was worth, winding her way through forest paths, hemmed in on each side by cypress and maple. It was golden days of a golden childhood. Every day sparkled with imagination. She could be anything she wanted to be. That's what everyone told her, and that's what she believed. The world was alive with promise. Now, I saw a 14-year-old girl walking along a dusty road covered in pine needles. I watched as she and her friend got into the car with 2 boys who were friends. They were actually men. And I watched as she cried herself to sleep that night. Every breath was a shuddering sob as she vowed, "I will never tell anyone what happened to me." It had been her fault, you see, and she should be ashamed. I saw a 17-year-old girl sitting in a school lunchroom. Her lunch bag was in her lap, and it was unopened. Now, she had spent the last 3 years of her life desperately trying to make the haunting secret of her shame go away through manic achieving, trying to be the best at anything and everything she attempted. But she was tired. And as she sat there that day, it seemed to her that the world was an uncontrollable place, a place where hopes and dreams and promise were swallowed up by pain and regret. But as she sat there that day and she looked at that unopened lunch sitting in her lap, for some reason she felt a little less powerless than she had before. In fact, she felt powerful in a way she never had before. She felt in control when she threw that untouched lunch in the trash and went on about her day. I saw a young woman, now painfully thin. She's quit the volleyball team. She threw her scholarship away. She had loved playing volleyball so much, but she threw it away without a second thought for the sake of the eating disorder. The eating disorder was killing her. She knew that it was, but she needed it. She just couldn't stop. Now I saw a bride on her wedding day. Her face was lit up with hope. Maybe this time, she could finally quit the eating disorder. I saw a young mother walking out of a bathroom in her house. "Mommy," a sweet little voice asked her, "Are you okay? Are you sick?" "No," the mother lied, "I'm fine." I saw a husband begging and pleading with his wife, fear and love and anger etched in every syllable of every word he was saying. He said, please, just stop what you're doing. If you would just stop, then we could be happy. Don't you want to be happy?" Did she want to be happy? What did it even mean to be happy? Well, she thought, I'll be happy if I can lose 5 more pounds. I'll be happy if I can manage to forget for just 1 second what a failure my life is. I'll be happy if I can starve the life out of my pain and my regret. No, happiness is impossible. It's an impossible dream. And finally, I saw a pastor's wife standing, dressed in her Sunday best, on the platform of a church on Sunday morning. The congregants deserved an explanation. They demanded one. It was the would-be price of her penance. And so, clutching that microphone in her hand, she explained what an eating disorder was. She explained how she had let her life end up like this. She explained that she was going to be leaving the very next day to go into inpatient treatment. She was going to be leaving her kids behind, her husband behind, her life behind. Yes, that's what was going on. She was pitiful. She was exposed before God and before man. And now everybody knew. Everybody knew. There was no way to deny it anymore. Now, when I got off that plane, remember that plane? In Phoenix, Arizona, I entered an inpatient treatment facility. And the second I walked through those doors, I realized there had been a serious mistake, because I didn't belong in that place filled with women and girls with feeding tubes and hopeless faces. Anger welled up inside of me. This was unfair. It was supremely unjust that I should be forced to give up everything in my life that mattered to me, most of all, my eating disorder. Didn't anyone realize that I needed my eating disorder in order to be remarkably thin? And if I weren't remarkably thin, there was nothing remarkable about me. I did everything in my power to resist being in inpatient treatment. I even ran away on Thanksgiving Day out into the desert. They chased me down, though. A van full of treatment workers chased me down and made me go back. I felt like a caged animal at the zoo. Come one, come all to behold the woman who has failed at anything in life that matters. But yet, despite this less than ideal attitude I had towards being in treatment, I stayed the whole time. That's something to be proud of, right? I had hope. Maybe I'd conquered it. But when I returned home, reality knocked the wind out of me once again, because I still had to do life after all. And it was life now without an eating disorder. And not only that, everybody, and I mean everybody, knew what I struggled with. They tracked the ongoing fluctuations with my weight and my appearance with avid devotion. And they were only too happy to tell me all about it. It was so discouraging. I could feel the old desires to be thin and the eating disorder thoughts steadily creeping back in. I could feel myself sinking down again. Of course I was. Maybe it was just time for me to realize that not everybody can live the life they dream about living when they're little. That not everybody can change, no matter how hard they try. That there's just some hurt that goes too deep. There are just some chains that are too heavy to break. But then something happened that, looking back, I cannot begin to tell you why I would say yes when my husband, who is the love of my life, when he tentatively asked me if I wanted to go to a Celebrate Recovery conference. And I went, and as I sat in that immense crowd, I listened to a testimony. It was a young mother, and she was sharing her story. And when she finished sharing, she invited her teenage daughter up, who shared, and invited her little sister up, who shared, and then she invited the grandmother up, who shared. And then she invited her mother, the great-grandmother, up, and she shared. And when they finished, they were standing on that stage side by side, and I, beholding them, generation after generation, and they were smiling. They were smiling, the smile of redemption, and I began to sob. 20 plus years of a life of disappointment, of a life of shame, of a life with an eating disorder was swallowed up with this one thought. How could I have ever believed that change was not possible? It was standing there in front of me in radiance and in beauty. I never wanted anything so much as I wanted what those women had on the stage. I told myself, I'll do anything to get it. Now, when I returned home, I threw myself into the process of recovery with everything I possessed. I attended meetings every single time the doors were open, no matter how worthy or unworthy I felt. I soon began opening myself up to others, being vulnerable, saying yes, leading, going into the prisons. I completed step studies. I worked the life-giving 12 steps. I have found friends in Celebrate Recovery in this very room that will last my whole life long. When I feel discouraged and I'm tempted to fall back into my old ways, they lift me up. And today, this is the good part, guys. Today, I'm living a life I could have never dreamed possible. It's a life of happiness. It's a life of freedom. Because the same power that raised Jesus from the dead gives me strength day by day, minute by minute, to make decisions based on the truth. And the truth is this: my value has nothing to do with what I've done or I have failed to do. It has nothing to do with what has been done to me. It has nothing to do with what I eat, has nothing to do with what I weigh, nothing to do with what my body looks like or what my body can or cannot do. It never has, and it never will. And yes, I believed a lot of lies. I believed that change wasn't possible. I believed that what happened to me when I was 14 was my fault. I believed that I could somehow control things that were uncontrollable by controlling what I ate and what I weighed. And though the enormity of the lies I believed was great, the truth is greater still, and the truth is worth fighting for. Change is possible. Change is possible. There is no hurt that goes too deep. There is no chain that is too heavy to break. It's never too late to begin again. And do you want to know how I know this is true? Do you want to know why this is true? It's because the tomb is empty. Yes. The tomb is empty. Because on resurrection morning, grieving women went to a tomb. They went to a grave. They went to the place they had just seen their hopes and dreams and promise crucified and were now dead and buried. That's what they expected to find. But instead of finding that, they were met with angels clothed in robes of white lightning, sentinels to an empty tomb, who said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here. He is risen." So the resurrection is the ultimate new beginning. Do you believe that's true? The resurrection is the ultimate new beginning. And so in closing, I can leave you with no better words than those the Apostle Paul wrote to the Corinthian church when he said this: "But we felt we had the sentence of death on ourselves. But this happened so that we would not trust in ourselves, but in God who raises the dead." Thank you for letting me share.